Welcome to today's Explainer. We are stepping right into the ultimate BU battleground. What we're looking at today is a really fascinating collision of two completely different automotive worlds. On one hand, you have established European manufacturing heritage, and on the other, a highly disruptive tech-first Asian challenger. Our entire goal today is to break down this complex market matchup with absolute simplicity and clarity. So let's get right to it.
At the very core of today's Explainer is a question of identity. When it comes to actually choosing a compact electric SUV, you really have to ask yourself, are you the kind of person who buys with your head, seeking out the rational, pragmatic, secure option? Or are you driven by your lifestyle, actively seeking out that early adopter tech, the innovation, and all the high-end perks? Keep that exact question in the back of your mind as we compare our two contenders.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our simple roadmap for today. Number 1, heritage versus innovation. Number 2, battery and range breakdown. 3, practicality meets lifestyle. And finally, 4, the final verdict.
Starting with Section 1, Heritage versus Innovation, Clashing Brand Philosophies.
So let's establish who these cars are actually for. We have two very distinct buyer profiles. First, we have Skoda, and they represent the rational pragmatist. Backed by the massive Volkswagen Group, Skoda is really leaning into a century of heritage, a massive established dealer network, and a deep focus on operational security. Then you have Jaecoo, which is part of the Chery umbrella. They are laser-focused on the early adopter. As a newcomer, they're essentially bypassing the traditional decades-long brand-building phase entirely. Instead, they are leading right out of the gate with a digital-first experience, immense innovation, and standard luxury right out of the box.
Now, to really grasp why these two cars are built the way they are, we need to quickly demystify a little bit of fleet industry jargon. TCO versus BIK. TCO stands for total cost of ownership. This is absolutely Skoda's playground. They're focusing on cheaper long-term running costs, holding on to resale value, and keeping those repair bills low. Jaecoo, however, goes all in on BIK, or benefit in kind. That's all about giving the driver immediate high-spec perks and standard luxury features right now, just to win them over immediately. Essentially, it boils down to long-term savings versus immediate lifestyle upgrades.
Moving on to Section 2, Battery and Range Breakdown. Let's look under the hood.
I promise to keep this complex battery chemistry incredibly easy to grasp, because honestly, it's the absolute secret to understanding both of these vehicles. Under the hood, we are looking at two totally different chemical architectures. First is LFP, or lithium iron phosphate. Now, this is known for incredible stability and a long cycle life, but the trade-off? Well, it's pretty heavy. Then you have NMC, or nickel, manganese, cobalt. This is a much more sophisticated, lighter battery. It packs a significantly higher energy density, meaning it can deliver much longer ranges without adding all the extra bulk.
And it is fascinating how those chemistry choices play out in the real world. Jaecoo goes with a pure consistency strategy. Every single UK E5 model gets one massive 61.1 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, which delivers a very solid 248 miles of range. Simple, right? But then you look at Skoda's tiered strategy. Their entry-level models use a smaller LFP battery, giving you 190 miles of urban range. But their flagship Epiq 55 actually upgrades to that sophisticated NMC battery. Because it's so much more energy dense, Skoda manages to extract a superior 272 miles of range from a battery that is actually smaller, just 52 kilowatt hours. That makes the whole car significantly lighter and way more efficient.
Speaking of efficiency, Skoda doesn't just rely on the battery chemistry. They use some incredibly clever European engineering logic to literally physically move air out of the way. They've designed these cool volcano-line front air slots specifically to duct air right around the wheels, and they've even added neat little winglets on the rear wheel arches. This drastically reduces aerodynamic drag. The result? A phenomenal efficiency rating of 13.0 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers. In simple terms, that means you are using less energy, and you're definitely spending less money at the charger.
This brings us to Section 3, Practicality meets Lifestyle, Spatial Engineering and Tech.
Once you take these cars into the city, their philosophies clash all over again. Skoda goes for what you might call utilitarian defense. Notice the unpainted lower bumpers and wheel arches? That's not just a rugged styling choice. It's a highly calculated move so that if you get into a parking scrape, which happens to the best of us, you aren't paying for insanely expensive paint repairs. Combine that with a remarkably tight 9.8-meter turning circle, and it's practically tailor-made for city life. Jaecoo takes a totally different route. They navigate the city with the tech-heavy lifestyle approach. Instead of unpainted bumpers, they literally just give you a standard 540-degree panoramic camera and Level 2 advanced driver assistance systems, basically ensuring you simply don't hit anything in the first place.
Stepping inside the Jaecoo E5, it perfectly mirrors their whole enjoy each moment outdoors ethos. They're absolutely packing this car with incredible out-of-the-box standard luxury. You get vehicle-to-load capability, which effectively turns your car into a giant mobile power bank for camping gear or charging laptops. There's even a dedicated pet mode. That keeps the climate control running safely for your dog while you pop into a shop. Add to that over 35 different storage spaces, a massive 13.2-inch portrait touchscreen, and standard wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is a heavily digital premium space.
But Skoda counters all that digital luxury with immense, pragmatic spatial utility, including their signature Simply Clever touches. The Epiq boasts a massive 475-liter boot. Honestly, that is huge for this class, and it expands to over 1,300 liters. You can get an optional 20-liter frunk up front specifically for storing your charging cables, keeping them out of the way. They even include an integrated ice scraper right inside the boot lid. The cabinet itself features sustainable recycled PES fabrics, and on the tech side, it's no slouch either, featuring an updated Travel Assist 3.0 system that can now actually read traffic lights.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 4, the final verdict, commercial viability and ownership.
So the crucial point really stands out when we look at the core numbers. Skoda is coming in highly aggressive on price, starting at just £24,950 to really drive EV adoption. And of course, that's backed by the comprehensive VW Group dealer network and the standard 3-year warranty. Jaecoo, on the other hand, is priced slightly higher at £27,505. However, to bridge the trust gap of being a relatively new brand with an expanding network, Jaecoo offers an incredibly aggressive 7-year, 100,000-mile vehicle warranty. That is designed to give buyers absolute peace of mind. Both of them, it's worth noting, offer an 8-year battery warranty.
So what's the bottom line? Well, when we look at the impartial strategy from fleet benchmarking experts, the verdict is actually incredibly clear. Their advice is this: select the Skoda Epiq for operational efficiency and infrastructure reliability, select the Jaecoo E5 for employee retention through high-specification standard equipment. I think that perfectly encapsulates how these two very different cars solve very different, very specific needs.
Which brings us right back to our opening thought. After seeing the incredibly pragmatic, secure European engineering of the Skoda Epiq face off directly against the high-tech, feature-rich luxury of the Jaecoo E5, are you guided by your head or your lifestyle? Which of those buyer personas do you truly identify with? Thank you so much for tuning into this explainer. We really hope it brought some much-needed simplicity and clarity to your EV search, and we will definitely see you next time.